All right, next in the hot seat is going to be our State Representative District 18 race. And that's going to be our incumbent Ernest Bells and Stephen Missick. Janice Holt was unable to make it this evening. Come on up, guys. All right, we're going to start with opening statements. Ernest Bells, come on up. Excuse me first.
First of all, I appreciate you guys caring enough to come out. You have to vote. So my name is Ernest Bells. I'm born and raised in Shepherd, Texas, just right down the road, family dairy and a beef cattle operation. I've had the distinct honor to be our state representative for the last four terms, 8 years. And I'm running to be our voice as we go back. We have got to make sure we have a strong rural voice in Austin, and that voice is heard. We don't have enough rural votes to pass anything. It takes 76 votes to pass a single thing, and we have to make sure that we have strong, effective people that can take care of our needs right here. This district encompasses 17 school districts, so each of my school districts get 1/17 of a vote, while Houston ISD just south here gets 16 votes. Work really hard, make sure that we do our homework. Every vote that I take, I make sure that best represents this district. It's not beholden to anyone. It's votes that I can be proud of. My wife is a school teacher. She can be proud of those. My two boys. I'm just as proud to spread those with my church or any of the other kids. I've got to make sure the job that I do and how I handle myself is representative of our rural values, and I will continue to do that in Austin.
Thank you, Representative Bells. Stephen Missick.
Hello, I'm Stephen Missick. Thanks for having me here tonight. I'm also from Shepherd. My father has a ranch out there. He passed away, so I'm inheriting it. 16 acres. I pastor King of Saints Tabernacle here in Cleveland, right on 1725 and 388. We have services on Saturday if you'd like to come and worship with us. I served in the military for 30 years. I have 2 combat deployments to Iraq, and I served 4 years on the border mission. That's the biggest problem we have right now as a country, is our border, our open border. And I know the border very well. I worked the border from Brownsville all the way to El Paso. When I win, I'm going to go and do more. Texas needs to do more to secure our border. So thank you for having me. And I also mention I'm an author. You can check out my books on Amazon.com, mostly on biblical subjects. And I've also worked in education. I've taught every grade level from kindergarten to 12th grade. Several years of experience in education while I was earning my doctorate. So thank you and God bless.
Thanks, sir. All right, we got some pretty good questions for you guys. All right, this first question is for Mr. Bales. What is your official position on school vouchers and why?
You have to take a stand and stand behind it. I stood up against school vouchers because they're not good for people House District 18 and they're not fiscally conservative. Because I took that vote is the reason I'm in the race that I'm in with the amount of money that's coming into it. You can't take our state dollars and put those in private industry for profit without taking away money from public education. We fund our public schools at about $6,200 to $6,500 per kid. We propose vouchers for $10,200. We want to include every illegal who comes across the border. A lot of people, a lot of churches say, well, you know, we'd like to have that for our church. The last thing that you need in your church is the state telling you what you can and cannot teach. Another point, homeschool gets brought up a lot. If you have parents that are able, you can get an education second to none being homeschooled. However, we no longer have dropouts in the state of Texas. If you drop out of school, you then become homeschooled. So you can have an individual at home in a very broken home who's barely getting by. You can have 4 to 5 kids there, and you can receive $10,200 per kid with no strings attached. There is no way in which you can tell me that is fiscally responsible, and that is the best way to get those kids out of that cycle. It will take away from our public education. It will also, we passed the largest property tax break that we've ever passed in the history of the state of Texas. That will be overturned within 2 years if this goes into effect. We will be just like the state of Arizona in 4 years with the largest deficit they've ever had because they're trying to pay the tab. The money has to come from somewhere, and it's not fiscally responsible to go in that fashion. We have school choice. We have a city park. If you don't like the likes of if you don't want your kids to play with the likes of those kids in the city park and you want to send them to the country club, you can't ask the state to pay for that.
Thank you, Representative Bell. All right, this next question is for Stephen Missick, so it's good you're standing up, prepared. I like that. You are a Republican candidate. If elected, would you support a bill that was sponsored by a Democratic representative if it would benefit most of, if not all, of the citizens in your district?
I think as a Republican, I want to represent the platform of the Republican Party. I am a conservative, which means I'm pro-life, pro-First and Second Amendment. And I look at the Democrat Party right now as extreme. I feel like the country's threatened by the Democrat Party. They're like Marxist. And with all these ideologies coming like CRT, look, if there's any legislation that benefits the people, but as long as it's true to my Christian and Republican values, I'd support it. But I don't think that's probably going to happen the way the Democrat Party is right now. Of course, we need to put the interests and needs of our people and our citizens first. So I'm willing to work with people, but I want to be true to conservatism because I believe that conservative values help all Americans of all races and all walks of life. And that's what we need, conservative solutions to make Texas and to make our nation stronger so we can create opportunity and prosperity for everybody.
Thanks, sir. All right, Representative Bills, how do you plan to engage and involve the community in decision-making processes, ensuring that their voices are heard in the legislative process?
If I've learned anything in this process, it's how little that I actually know. I'll start off every meeting, said, assume I know nothing, let's start there. If it's dealing with what's happening in the family court at law judge, or if it's with TxDOT, or if it's with appellate court, the worst thing that I can do is go into a meeting and assume that I know exactly how to do their job and how to do it better. Everything that I do, I make sure that I engage the people, that is their business, that I represent, and make sure that we don't pass bills which have more negative unintended consequences than actually benefits. I have to spend more time actually killing legislation than passing it because we have a lot of bills that are really good for Houston, San Antonio, Austin, but they really have a lot of harm that they hurt us right here. So I have that interaction. I can tell you, I can just go through this room and tell you the people that we've had the conversation with each and every time. Social media is a tool. It's a dirty tool right now. Text messages and everything else, you know what, you have to embrace it, you have to use it, but it's hard to be a fan of that stuff. So we use that. We also use our news resources. We try to do all we can in order to put the message out there, say that we're doing. I'm more of a private guy, and I don't typically like to stand here in front of the spotlight and tout everything that I do. It would be easier if I did, but we're going to work really hard to make sure you guys are informed, we get your input, and that the job that I do represents you guys first and foremost, and then it's also what's best for the greater good of the state of Texas.
Thank you, sir. All right, this next question is for Stephen Missick. It's a tough one. What plans or restrictions will you put into place to bring Colony Ridge to a different level for Liberty County and for House District 18?
I am very concerned about Colony Ridge. It's amazing how much it's grown and how big it's projected to grow. They think there might be as many as 70,000, mostly illegal aliens there. And it's expected to grow to 250,000. And now the federal government is involved because, according to the Department of Justice, the developers are exploiting and discriminating against Hispanic people. Not just illegal aliens, but Hispanic Americans. So we need to have accountability for Colony Ridge. One of the first things I'm concerned about is the drainage system. It's failing. It wasn't built up to standard or to code or to regulations. And it's created a vast flood zone that's flooding all the way down to Kingwood. So one of the first things you need to do is just make them follow the code instead of having these exemptions and special protections that have been granted. They need to be held accountable for the rule of law. And the roads they're building, failing already, crumbling apart. And of course, I worked on the border. I believe in border security. I believe in enforcing immigration law. And I believe if Trump is reelected, we're going to have massive deportations. But still, these are men and women and children made in the image of God, people that Jesus Christ died for. And we shouldn't stand around and allow our fellow human beings to be exploited like that. So we need to bring rule of law and accountability to Colony Ridge.
Thanks, sir. All right, that concludes the question part of this, and now we'll go to closing statements. Mr. Bells, come on up, bring it home.
I was really hoping we got to address Colony Ridge as one of the questions. It is a huge problem. It is a problem right here that I tell you, our local elected officials have done all they can in order to keep this from happening, to control this. Our biggest issue is the wide open southern border. So we talk about the federal government actually investigating the predatory lending. That's the same federal government that says we cannot use razor wire and we can't build a fence in order to secure our southern border. All of that aside, I tell you, I do my homework. I work really hard to make sure that every vote I take represents this district and represents the values of this district. We're getting a lot of info out there. It's hard to put an 80 to 150 page bill in a 2-sentence bite. We sensationalize that in order to get people elected. Ask yourself, as you're being bombarded with all of this, and the hundreds of thousands of dollars that are being planted here, why are they trying to do this? And it's to get their agenda through. They don't care about this district or these people here. They simply want their own people elected so they can be controlled. As for your vote.
Thanks, sir. All right, Mr. Missick, come on up.
I just want to mention one of the other issues. There's a lot of issues out there. I do want to mention school choice. I know it's very controversial, but I believe in homeschooling. I believe in Christian education, and I believe there's a crisis in education, so I also believe in school choice. I've seen, as I was teaching, people that needed alternatives to help them to succeed, and I think that school choice would empower parents to have more options to set their children up for success. Now, I also want to mention that this is an ugly campaign. It's unfortunate. But it's important for the voters to be informed. Now, we're going to have this panel discussion online. I have my YouTube channel, but there's other of these panel discussions. We've been very civil. Even though there's a lot of ugliness going on in this campaign, it's good for us to come to these panel discussions, be polite and civil, and put our ideas and communicate our priorities to you. And so I want to encourage you to watch the debates that are online so you can be fully informed. And be sure to vote. Early voting starting a few days from now on February 20th to March 1st. And then Election Day. Make sure you vote and tell everybody you know to vote March 5th. So thank you and God bless you.
Thank you, gentlemen. I appreciate it.